Hey, listen, it's a big sports week here. I know there's a lot of other stuff going on, so let's get to it.
The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
You know, I got my phone fixed this weekend, but I don't know. Did somebody change my Don't text me. My own producer is texting me on the show, and I'm dun 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 dun. Anyway, listen, if this thing goes off, what are you going to do? It's semi-live television. How are you? Nice to have you in on a Monday evening. My state of mind on any given day is, well, it can be frazzled, including this bug. There's a bug on the set today. Holy cow. I don't know. Bill Koch will calm me down. Yeah, see? Please stop. Please stop. Take my phone and shut off the mode. Will you just come over here and take the phone and shut off the mode? There you go. Hey, Lexi finally got in the show, sort of. Look, I was thinking the other day as I was watching Auburn, Alabama, the football game, you know, what rivalry do we have that even gets close to that around here? Well, we don't have it in football, that's for sure, but you know, some would argue that at least we have our own mini version of it in basketball coming up this weekend with Providence College and the University of Rhode Island. So Bill Koch, who is the college beat writer for URI, and everybody else, depending on the mix at the Projo, will give his own perspective on that. And I think we ought to talk a little bit about what's going on with the Patriots and college football and all of that after a 4-day holiday weekend. Although, you know, the world doesn't stop moving, and there's been some progress, according to the governor's office, on the economy here. So let's just start with that real quick. There's a big announcement today at a library, the downtown Providence Library, under the Commerce Corporation's Jobs for Rhode Island program. This Infosys company, this is an Indian company, like India, and they're huge. And they're looking at bringing a ton of jobs to America here over the next 5 or 10 years. Indiana did a big deal with them recently and literally gave them everything but the kitchen sink. And so that's what states do now. We pay for jobs. We're paying some $10 million in tax credits plus to get this company to promise us that there'll be 500 jobs here in Providence. Mayor Elorza's obviously excited about it.
But what these folks are investing in is a city that has assets and talents and a strong foundation to go around. From our universities, our hospitals, our quality of life, our schools, our research capacity, our arts and culture, our great food, what your employees are going to find once they come and settle in your company here in Providence, they're going to find one of the most up-and-coming, fast-paced international cities that you're going to find anywhere in the entire country.
All right, good sell. Look, there's no sense arguing that. You know, there are a lot of things to be bullish about here in Rhode Island, and the promise for 500 jobs from this company is nice. Here's the problem. We can't compete with other states, who are most of whom are also broke and breaking their banks to throw money out to get companies to come here. We are in a unique position with 50 miles of length and 35 miles of width to do it differently. But no one here thinks differently. And so Gina Raimondo and her Commerce Corporation head are glomming on to the game that the rest of American state, the United States, is playing. We don't have the, it's like saying, speaking of sports, Bill Koch would get this, maybe he'll have a comment on it because he's got a thought process well past just X's and O's. It's like saying, look, we're going to play the same game, right? URI football is going to play the same game as Alabama. We're going to use the same strategies. We're going to try to, well, wait a second. All due respect to URI football, I just picked this out of the thin air. They get 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 people to a game. At Alabama, they get 100,000. The economies are so different. We do not have the resources to keep plucking down money to buy companies to come here. What we could do, I've said this a million times, is create such a fertile, consistent, for all tax environment and a regulatory environment that's a whole lot more user-friendly that just makes companies want to come here of their own volition. And we don't get it and we're chasing our tail. So great that this company's coming in. And the mayor's right. It's a wonderful city to be in. But it's a short game, and we're always going to be climbing uphill. Al Franken, Woe Is Me tour started today. The congressman let his House Judiciary seat chairmanship go today. John Conyers, pathetic stories. We'll talk more about those tomorrow. In the meantime, let's just talk some football here. How about well, listen, the most boring story in the world are these guys. Unless, of course, you're a fan of Patriots Nation. As a Giant fan, do you know that the Giants are mathematically out of the playoffs at the earliest stage in their history?
There's only one race that matters for the Giants right now, and it's the race for the #1 overall pick in the draft.
Do you think, welcome, by the way, my friend, nice to have you.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
All of my buddies that bust my horns about the Giants suggest that they've already made a mistake in winning the second game.
Could be right.
What is the real mentality? I mean, you follow sports from, the thing I love about Bill is that he treats a high school volleyball game with the same kind of seriousness and respect that he does the Patriots, and you've got real expertise throughout that spectrum. The idea of positioning yourself for a draft means you have to throw ball games. Is that ethical?
It is a little counterintuitive, right? I mean, you get into athletics with the idea of competing and winning at a high level, but the way the systems are written, the worst get the best draft picks, especially in the NFL's case where it's just strictly record. There's no lottery, there's no sort of selection system in place. It's just, if you're the worst team, you get the #1 overall pick. And the Giants are down there with the Cleveland Browns and their likes in contention, I use that word loosely, to obtain the #1 overall pick.
You didn't answer my question. Is it ethical?
If
this is the kind of conversation you'd be at the bar all night, just having a battle about it. Is it ethical?
If I'm a season ticket holder, I don't like what I see for 1 year. Obviously, I feel like I've wasted my money for 1 year. But if I'm in the Super Bowl in 2 years or 3 years, I'm willing to sacrifice that 1 year. It's like when, if you decide to, let's say, you were a runner.
Yeah.
Let's say I'm going to run.
Yes, I was.
He was.
As a matter of fact.
Let's say I'm going to run the New York City Marathon. What am I going to have to sacrifice in terms of training to get to that one ultimate goal? I might not be able to drink beer for a year, or eat cheeseburgers for a year, or go out on a Friday night for a year. But the ultimate goal
I ran the marathon, and I did all those things. Although I didn't do it, well, you know what? There is a little bit of sacrifice, right?
And the ultimate goal is to finish that marathon. It's a similar, you could make a similar sort of sloppy analogy to,
all right.
to team building.
So what you're saying is that the fan base, whether it be the Patriots or and we should talk about whether the Patriots will ever be in this situation.
At some point they will.
That the fan base actually is part of the continuum of investment in the concept of winning. And so fans will accept the teams pull back in order to really be awful, in order to get a draft pick.
There are different ways of getting to that point, and generally in a salary cap sport like football or basketball, often the best way to get there is to strip it down to nothing, accumulate those draft picks, which is, they are capital, and then sort of start from the beginning.
So the Patriots 9-2 now and just on a roll of it. Are they stoppable? Doesn't look like it.
In the AFC, you're looking at Pittsburgh and probably nobody else. And the way the Patriots are able to game the system is they have the best coach, Bill Belichick, and they've had the best quarterback, Tom Brady. Now, once those two guys move on, then we'll see whether or not the Patriots or any other team would have that sort of staying power where they can just be at the top regardless of what happens.
Well, where's the culture? The culture starts at the Kraft family, who are really, for Patriots fans, everybody feels like the Krafts are part of their family, right? So is the culture of winning, does it begin in the executive office, or does it really start with the coach?
Well, let's draw a comparison between, say, Robert Kraft and Jerry Jones. Robert Kraft has the wherewithal to hire Bill Belichick and then trust him to run the football side of his business. Jerry Jones hires coaches who will be lackeys and just cannot help himself. He cannot help himself in terms of meddling, being the team president, the general manager, picking the players, picking the coaching staff. And they haven't been in a Super Bowl since the mid-'90s, and they're not going anywhere near that this year either. You know, sometimes in business, and you bump into this a lot, as an executive, you need to hire a team around you that's strong enough and put enough trust in them for your business to grow and to achieve. And I think that's the best part of what Robert Kraft has done as an owner.
Interesting. All right, when we come back, we got a big week here. We'll talk about how big that rivalry actually is objectively when we come back. Stay with us.
They're guard-oriented, very well coached. Watched a couple of their games. We're going to have to, again, guard the three-point line, guard the dribble handoff, dribble drive. But we got to execute better defensively. You know, if we give up 63% in the second half again, I don't know if we can win those games.
No, I'm not exactly, to be honest with you, is that some random audio? But you know what, he might have been talking about URI, all the guards, but you know who that is, Ed Cooley, of course, the head coach for PC. We have the, what, biggest rivalry game the state knows coming up this Saturday?
It's a passion play. I think you could term it as that.
A passion play.
Sure.
Explain.
Just in terms of how it inflames the fan bases on both sides. You know, Providence fans will insist that they don't care about URI and they'd rather measure themselves against Villanova, and URI fans will insist that Providence, being the private school, shouldn't be given the time of day by most people in the state, and neither one of those perceptions are reality. Meaning? Meaning that Providence is an excellent program at this point, probably operating at its maximum, you know, in terms of great coach, facility building, investment, but they're never going to be North Carolina, let's say. And Rhode Island isn't, you know, this sort of basketball backwater that Providence fans want it to be. You know, but they also haven't been ridiculously hard done by, you know, by the state legislature in the last 15, 20, 30 years as much as they think. Somewhere in the middle lies the truth on both sides.
So you get the feedback of the rabidity from each of the fan bases.
Absolutely.
I'm still trying to figure it out as a casual guy that doesn't throw himself into that mix. I mean, you know, the people aren't going to come to me to talk about the rabidity that they have for each of those programs. Is there that much see, you know, I tell Cooley all the time, you know, disclosure, I'm the public address announcer at URI, and I'm invested spiritually, emotionally in the URI program. My kid went to URI. I love the school. I think this program is run, you know, incredibly well. The Hurley story is becoming somewhat magical, at least in the context of what URI can do. But I have great admiration for PC and Cooley, and I tell Cooley all the time, you know, there's 27 games out of the year where I'm pulling for him, except for one, sort of. But that kind of normalcy and rationale doesn't exist between the two fan bases, you don't think?
I don't think so at all. You could tell both sides, the coaches like each other. The athletic directors like each other.
But they got it. The 2 years ago at URI, they got after each other.
A little bit.
A little drama right in front of me. So it was like, this is going to be good.
And then the next morning in the gym, they probably ran into each other at about 6 a.m., you know, because they were both living in East Greenwich at the time, and shook hands and said, gee, you know, Ed, I'm sorry about that. Dan, you know, I'm sorry about that.
Right.
That's all.
But you really think it's oil and water?
I do, because...
Is that too bad or is that good? I guess Auburn and Alabama are oil and water.
For rivalry's sake, I think it's great. I mean, you have so many contrasts there. You have the public school against the private school. You've got the generational fans against, you know, say the program that was down for a little while and now is starting to ascend again. You know, you've got two teams who actually matter, who are NCAA tournament teams now. And that's what really turns up the heat on this game. You know, the fact that both teams are good and are expected to be good. It doesn't matter when they're both 8-20 and when they both have sort of nondescript coaches, but now you have these two great personalities, two very different men with very different stories on the surface, you would think. But they actually have a lot more in common underneath than the casual fan would realize. They're both from tough backgrounds. You know, Dan's from Jersey City, which is not exactly the glamour capital of the U.S. You're a Jersey native, you know this. Ed Cooley's from Providence, you know, and had a tough upbringing, you know, going to Central High School, public school. You know, both had to work their way up through the coaching profession. scratching and clawing as college assistants, and then.
But even in this conversation, PC fans will say, yeah, but our guy did it all on his own. Hurley has his dad.
Right.
So that would be that. And his brother, right? So I'm not judging that. I'm just hearing the fan bases argue against this.
Sure,
right?
and you could say that, and then you would point to the fact that Dan hasn't had a player at Rhode Island who his father coached at St. Anthony while their doors were still open.
Right.
You could also say that, Dan wasn't the next head coach at St. Anthony or the next head coach at Rutgers just out of nowhere. He had a job before Rhode Island, just as Ed had a job before Providence when he was at Fairfield. They really have followed similar career paths and have faced similar challenges.
Who has to win this game more this weekend?
I think Rhode Island does, only because Providence has won 7 in a row. Rhode Island has the game at home in Kingston, and they already have a very good win on their schedule over Seton Hall on Thanksgiving in the preseason NIT tip-off. And I think considering Rhode Island's schedule and considering the way the Atlantic 10 has performed, it has struggled early on. To bank 2 top 50 wins this early would really help the Rams' NCAA tournament resume.
Of course, E.C. Matthews, the star guard, who's just fallen on hard times, his knee injury, all healed, and now he breaks his hand. Maybe back in a couple of weeks, he won't be there. And they're not at full strength overall, Rhode Island.
And still, they were able to beat Seton Hall, who I think is a really, really good team, in a top 3 pick in the Big East, which is Providence's conference, obviously. And I think it really speaks to the depth that Dan Hurley has built there. If you had taken 2 quality players off his team, maybe as recently as 2 years ago, if you had sat out 2 starters, E.C. Matthews and Cyril Langevin, they're not beating a top 25 team.
I will say this, the Rhode Island program is showing the most evidence I've seen in all the 18 years I've lived here and the 6 years I've been involved with the program. Opening night, 6,500 people. We haven't seen that in a while. I guess reportedly there's scalper money out there for the Saturday game.
There is.
We might see the highest average attendance rate at URI in a long time or ever. So it's making its move.
Well, and that's what winning does.
People are driving to the ball game, and we always talk about URI is the game is the destination, whereas Providence is buoyed by the city being the destination.
You can go out to dinner, you can go to the game, you can go out after the game, but Rhode Island is worthy of that support because of the way they play. It's a very honest, hardworking brand.
All right. Did you predict when we come back? They don't do that. See, I'll get 2 minutes to try to beat them up to make a prediction, but they don't do that. I hate that. Be right back. This is actually last night at Bryant. Wish there were more folks out there. Sunday night after a long weekend, I know it's a tough travel weekend and everything, but here are the other 2 Division I basketball programs in the state, and that's Bryant battling Brown. Brown's in the dark uniforms. Brown pulled away on a 15-1 run and beat Bryant. Bryant's got a world of hurt going on. They're actually a pretty good ball club. They've lost a couple close ones, and now they've got 5 big money games that they got to go on the road for. So poor Bryant might be 1-10 before they actually get into their league. Brown actually has URI tomorrow night and has turned the whole program around overnight with some young recruits. I wish people were more engaged in those 2 programs because the basketball is really good, but we suffer from a major league disposition here. URI and PC have been able to crack that nut to a large extent, but the other programs really haven't.
That's right. And a lot of that comes through conference contention. Obviously, Providence winning a Big East championship a couple of years ago, Rhode Island winning an Atlantic 10 championship a couple of years ago. Brown has very formidable opponents in the Ivy League with what Harvard and Yale and Princeton and Penn are spending on athletics. Brown isn't anywhere near close to that.
Because it's philosophy?
I think so. I think, some Ivy League schools, and rightly so, they are the academic schools in the country, would rather spend more money on a biochemistry professor, let's say, instead of, investing in the basketball or the football program. And Bryant plays in the NEC. It's a little smaller league. There are a lot of high school gyms around the league. But that might be a league where you're probably the most upwardly mobile, because the other teams aren't, so demonstrably better than you are. They don't have such demonstrably better players than you might have. You know, and Tim O'Shea has the right idea. He's got a
The
young
head coach
starting
of Bryant,
five.
right.
You know, and he tries to piece it together.
If Bryant built an arena, would it change the dynamic?
I think it would help just from the standpoint of you'd get more eyes on your product, and you might be able to sell a little something more to your recruits in terms of, you know, look at this facility you get to play in. It's so much better than these other 4 schools who have offered you, for example.
They've done a great job on that campus for academic and other purposes. What Ron Makeley's done there is just phenomenal.
You know, and you look at the football facility, whether it be the stadium or the workout facility or the indoor practice facility, I have to think that the Chase Center is somewhere on the list, considering Ron Makeley's track record.
Let's not forget, though, Brown basketball beat PC in a buzzer beater a couple of years ago at Brown. Of course, what was really ironic was that the whole doggone place was full of PC fans.
That's right.
Which was kind of the, I don't know, the strange irony of what Ivy League basketball and what Ivy League sports have got to deal with. By the way, I bypassed you. You don't do make because you're not making predictions, are you?
Too early in the week.
Oh, too early in the week?
Yes.
Meaning you will make a prediction?
I might.
All right. Well, maybe I'll grab you on the radio for a prediction. I didn't know if that was outside the ethical bounds of the beat reporter.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
No? Okay.
No.
Well, you know, some of the guys, you know, some of the old farts in your business think that, I can't make predictions because I cover the game.
I'll make an exception for you, Dan.
Oh, awesome. I have no idea. So, I mean, I have no idea. Obviously, I'd like to see URI nip PC in a close one. The drama last time around was incredible. PC beat URI 2 years ago at the buzzer. Of course, they beat them up pretty good at the dunk last year, but they were undermanned.
And they each have games before that. Providence, URI playing Brown on Tuesday, and then Providence playing Rhode on Wednesday. So you'd like to see how the two teams come out of it.
Any chance Brown gives URI a hard time tomorrow night because URI is looking ahead to PC?
The last 2 games Brown has played URI, they lost by 3 at home in overtime, and they lost by 7 in Kingston last year. You know, so if I'm URI, I'm not overlooking that one at all.
It's hard to. It's easy to say, hard to do, right?
Correct, correct, and it's a real good test of URI's mental focus, and generally under Dan Hurley, that hasn't been a problem.
So your overall impression of the sports environment in Rhode Island right now is what?
I think we're pretty healthy from a college basketball perspective. You know, college football-wise, I was really encouraged with the way Bryant finished the year. They won 4 games in a row under James Perry,
and
who's their
URI
first-year
won
coach.
A few games.
And URI is much improved. You know, they passed the uniform test a lot better, you would say. They have a lot more guys on their team who other teams in their league, the CAA, would actually want to have and start right now. You know, and I think they're headed in the right direction as well.
So no more discussion of ending the URI football program.
I think that's ridiculous to start.
And Brown had a tough year, but they always bounce back, right?
Phil Estes has been a great coach there for a long time. He's won 3 Ivy League championships. Just couldn't really settle on the quarterback position this year, and you know, as we know, that's probably the most important position in sports.
All right. So neither of us can help you with tickets for PC URI.
Sorry.
It's nice to be able to say that.
It is. It's sold out long in advance, and according to my colleague Kevin McNamara, he's seen tickets on resale sites up to $400 for this one already.
Think about that. Always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you.
Pleasure's mine.
Final word when we come back. Stay with us. Alrighty, so get ready for the weekend. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We've got a lot of stuff to cover though over the next couple of days. This new incentive program is worth examining. We'll do that this week. I'm talking about the governor's incentive program and a whole lot more. We'll see you on the radio at 3 on WPR Road, of course, each weekday. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow night.